Clock in, check the numbers on the wall. Everything rises, everything can fall. Red lines, green lines, none of it matters when you got your hands steady. Doing work again, they talking about corrections, talking about the dip, talking about consistency, talking about the grip. On what you control, that's the muscle, that's the bone. While they panic selling, I'm just in my zone. Up and down, round and round. Keep your feet flat on the ground. When it's moving, when it's still, that's the rhythm, that's the drill. Up and down, round and round. Find your focus, hold it down, down. October wasn't pretty, November looking strange, but my discipline don't pivot just because the seasons change. Liquidation Nation got everybody stressed. Meanwhile, I'm just focused on delivering my best. Support levels breaking, let them break. I got my own foundation I'm trying to make, built on showing up, built on the routine. Not the speculation, just the work between. Up and down, round and round. Keep your feet flat on the ground. When it's moving, when it's still, that's the rhythm, that's the drill. Up and down, round and round. Find your focus, hold it down. Guarantees, guarantees don't exist. Just the moment right here, just the work, just this, yeah. Institutional money flowing out the door, but I'm institutional with what I'm here for. Every single day, every single shift, that's my premium, that's my gift. Ethereum slide, Solana taking hits. I'm just blocking hours, stacking up my grit. Volume getting heavy, headlines getting loud. I tune into the task, tune out the crowd. Risk is everywhere, always has been. Certainty's a myth that we all live in. So I ride the wave with my eyes ahead, following my process, that's how I'm fed. That's how I'm fed, that's how I'm fed. Up and down, round and round. Keep your feet flat on the ground. When it's moving, when it's still, that's the rhythm, that's the drill. Up and down, round and round. Find your focus, hold it down. When the cap falls, when the cap climbs, I'm just here steady, putting in my time. That's the real investment, that's the play. Show up tomorrow like I showed today.
All right, folks, let's get this test explainer going. Thanks to anybody who's checked out the stream, watched any of it at all, especially those who've done so by request. Without knowing what they're getting into, I really appreciate all the help and feedback that you've given. If you're listening to this, I think you know who you are. All right, I'm going to try to be quick, just kind of see how default settings end up. Let's give it a go. My website, a little out of date, but if you want links to stuff that I've done, check out my CoinTree. It's like Linktree, but you know, it's about crypto here. If you like any of this music, what I do is I try to capture, I basically take the Perplexity AI market summaries and use those and my own personal interests to create songs about a particular day's market environment, or how I'm feeling in today's market environment. And then I try to use this market summaries to make it like the music relatable to what's currently happening in the world and in the markets and crypto in general. If you like my content at all, you might like some of the things that inspire my content. Some of the playlists that I am focusing on over the next several years can be found on YouTube by going to my playlists. This is where I save the videos that I'm watching and that I'm learning from, and that I can keep tabs on things. So if you like AI, if you like the TA, if you like music for work, if you like good information about the protocols themselves and not not the FOMO and the hype, as well as other important topics, check out the YouTube playlists and follow the people that I'm learning from. All right, I also like to use AI to create cartoons. So today's cartoon is all about the market circus, with these little bit of pumps that we've had here over the last few days amidst all the market uncertainty in the background. So it's always interesting to test AI and their image generation and errors. So let me know what you think about those. Today's market summary comes from Perplexity Finance. In brief, Bitcoin bounces above 104,000 after a little bit of bear market yesterday. After plunging below 100,000 a week or so ago and entering some corrections, Bitcoin recovered slightly. Its recent weakness stemmed from massive liquidations and sustained selling by large holders. What we try to do here, folks, is what's the trend? What's the trend? How does that help us? How can we follow what's going on? So, one of the things that I always like to keep track of is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. This is the only sentiment analysis that I do. This is all I need to be able to see that any dollar cost averaging strategy, while fear and greed is in the fear or extreme fear areas, have been historically great times to accumulate Bitcoin over time, which is the goal here. And we won't really get into selling and buying back, but that's the basic idea here, folks. We don't sell everything all at once. I don't sell everything all at once. I don't buy everything all at once. We do this over time, and over time, the longer term trends help keep us safe in this game. Crypto Bubbles tells us that there are still some alts seeing a little bit of pumping overall. Not so much. The last couple days has been pretty full bubble chart. Of course, over the week, a lot of things have popped and are still, nice gains if you got them. Make sure to, I always like to take profits as much as possible. So if you like taking profits, click like and subscribe, and yeah, give me some feedback. Overall, on the month, though, we do have to be wary. Things are, they're not going to the moon. They're just moving up as they do a little bit, and overall, it's not surprising given how far down many of these have come. The week just feels better right now. Hope you guys got some gains. So, given our cautious optimism for the short term here, while ultimately, let's look at what's the main trends that I'm trying to follow. Always starting off with Bitcoin dominance, comparing that to the Bitcoin price, and on the rare occasions that one or two of these scenarios line up, I'm either trying to accumulate certain alts by essentially shorting them on dumping time frames, and buying them back at lower prices, buying more of them, accumulating more of deflationary altcoins. Likewise, being able to identify the pumps helps me to identify if I should be expecting to maybe sell some of my altcoins to buy back at a lower price. So, what are we doing? The overall trend for Bitcoin dominance is up. However, on these 5-day candles, we see we have a current candle closing today, a 5-day candle. Overall, this candle has been down, while the Bitcoin price has been coming up from just under 100,000. And this is what has essentially given some altcoins space to also move up. However, we have to recognize that the larger trend is dominance increasing. The trend is sideways to down overall. So we could even say that we're looking at Bitcoin dominance up, Bitcoin price decreasing. So we should be expecting alts overall in the long term to continue a down or sideways trend, right? We're going from a sideways to a down trend. So we want to be very cautious, very careful, and be in or out of alts. Take some profits. Keep a couple. That's my strategy. So let's blow some of these charts up. I like to look at 3 charts at a time. I learned this from one of my favorite YouTubers, New Wave Traders. Also, Crown Crypto is where I get most of my information about volatility, so check them out. And what we have here is the Bitcoin price. Let's hide this real quick. We have a Bitcoin price, and we have the BBWP, which is the Bollinger Band with percentile indicator here at the bottom. And the BBWP is a non-directional indicator, and when it has a fast line and a slow line, so they're kind of averages of each other, and when the trend is moving from the bottom to the top, it is expanding volatility. When the trend is moving from the top to the bottom, it is contracting volatility. And we should expect on contracting volatility for there to be less swings. However, it doesn't mean that it can't get volatile and come back down within the overall downtrend. And when things are going up, we should expect bigger moves. Again, this is not directional to the upside or downside. However, if price is downtrending, volatility is expanding, that supports the idea that price is going to come down in bigger moves than maybe we would expect. And so on the weekly time frame, we're just now, starting to get into some what could be volatile movements. And what we're going to see throughout these next few charts is reasons why, we expect that to the downside. So the other thing that I like to watch, the commentary here, is the 5 EMA. Check my setting real quick. 5 and 13 EMA. We have a cross of the red MA, the 5, down below the 13. So we have a downtrend according to the moving averages during this week. We would then expect the 50-week moving average to be a target, and we can see over the 4 weeks it has come down, hit the 50-week moving average. This purple in the background is a 50-week moving average cloud, and we see over the weeks, right, the trend has been finding support in the cloud, coming up out of the cloud, coming back down to the 50-week moving average, coming up, right, and each time doing higher lows. And so bulls want this 50 cloud to hold. Bears, if we break the 50 cloud, are going to be looking at, potentially lower targets here to the 200. We can see that when we crossed, down below the 50 EMA here, the target is, well below the 200, but minimum target. But eventually, we're looking for support on the 200, the 50, and those are historically the best buying opportunities. So I want to de-risk, but not too much. In case we find support here, I can risk back on. However, I want to start de-risking and making sure that if price does come down to this white 200 moving average at some point in the future, over the next 6 months, that I have fiat money to buy back that Bitcoin at lower prices. So we watched the 5 and 13 cross. Minimum target was the 50 EMA. It is hit. That's was the first time I heard Bitcoins on struggle street, and what we are watching is this blue line, and we do not want to see 2 weekly closes below the 50 EMA. Historically, 2 weekly closes below the 50 EMA has signaled the high of the 4-year cycle. Other YouTubers that I follow can talk way more about that. So I'm just going to say what we're watching for. We don't want 2 weekly. We're watching to see if Bitcoin closes below this 50-week moving average, and for how many weeks after that it closes below the 50-week moving average, if at all. But we do expect price to be pulled down within this 50 cloud, unless we see Bitcoin get above it and flip this what's now resistance line as support, then we can start getting excited and get off struggle street. This second chart here just kind of shows what we're looking for on the 4-day time frame. This will give us a little earlier signal than the weekly time frame. But essentially, we have we've added a volume indicator here on the right side, and below we have the stochastic. The stochastic indicator actually does give us direction of price as far as a trend goes. Currently, the stochastic is trending down, and it's in what we could call maybe a bearish zone. But we can expect from this trend, if this continues, we would favor movements to the downside with increasing volatility, which would mean we shouldn't be surprised if we come down to a lower target. Our target on the 4-day is this 200 moving average sitting about 81,000. So if we break down from the 50 cloud, we are looking for some kind of action, and that would be our next opportunity. And it could roll over ultimately, but we should be prepared. So we're watching on the 4-day this 200 moving average. The majority of volume here has happened around, we have very strong support at 96,000, where a lot of trading has gone on through here. So that's our first target. I like to remember all's price ever does is go up, down, or sideways. It went up, it tested its highs. After something tests its highs, price comes down to the mean, and from the mean it either goes back up to the highs or comes down and looks for support. So step 1, revert to the mean. Step 2, if it breaks, start looking at support. If it holds, start looking at resistance. We have support coming in here on the volume indicator around 82,000 as well. So that's why we're watching that on the 4-day. So we're watching the weekly. We're watching the 4-day. And now we have the 2-day. 2-day is our earliest signal. And based on the 2-day, we can actually start managing our risk exposure. The 2-day time frame, we have a 5 EMA cross down from the 50 cloud, and this sets up that our target is to the 200 EMA, which we have coming in at 90,000. So this is what we're expecting. Bitcoin, of course, could hold support right here, and any higher lows on the low time frames are scalping opportunities. But when managing risk, we want to be prepared. The question is, how do we do that? So if the time frame that's dictating my plan is on the 2-day, I'm going to go half down and half down again. So half of the 2-day time frame is the daily, half the daily is the 12-hour. Let's do that. So now we're on the 12-hour. 12-hour on the RSI, I want to de-risk on the 12-hour time frame. So when the 12-hour RSI gets into above 60, I start looking to sell, and I start looking for tops to waves that come from Elliott wave. So here I have 2 Elliott wave options. Essentially, option 1 is that this correction is over, and we should be looking for an impulse to the upside and higher lows. More patient folks might also, we also have to be careful that we could actually roll over one more time, have a longer correction, um, into December, and then move to the upside. So on these lower highs, and when RSI is above 60, I would be looking to sell some of my position, and I would have targets to buy back lower, anywhere between the current price and 91,000. And if this 89, 90,000 gets hit, that might be the most ideal opportunity, because that would really spook some people dropping down fast down to here. However, holding this 50% retrace at 96,000 would also be a good opportunity to buy back at minimum. So if I'm watching the RSI on the 12 hour to get into to get above 60, once it does, I will then start to look the 3 hour. Half of 12 is 6, half of 6 is 3, and then when the RSI is above 70 or 60, depending a little bit on the pattern, that will give me my actual entries on short. My pattern that I'm looking for isn't playing out on the RSI. I may want to just reassess things, but currently we're in a bearish range, potentially on the 12 hour. Just waiting for it to get into sell territory, and then I can begin de-risking. While minimizing my risk. Yeah. All right. So that's what we're looking for. This may or may not be complete. This 4-wave, this correction up here. We actually have very strong resistance up here. So we shall see. But anything higher than this is really an invalidation, because we are looking for a lower high compared to the 2-wave over there. All right. What's the short and simple is, again, we just want to stay safe. What are our guardrails? We have the bulls trying to get over 106K. Really don't any opportunity to, it's risky betting on the bulls until they're over 106K, until they're over 111, and ultimately over 116K on the higher time frames. Till then, the Bears have a really strong defense here at 106K. They're trying to push it down to 91,000. We're really caught in the middle of 91,000 and I think 111,000. So that's why I like GridBots. And I'll talk more about GridBots later, and how you can take advantage of what most of the time is really just sideways movement. So that's what we're watching, the bulls and the bears there. So Ethereum. Ethereum is actually watching Ethereum not on log scale. I also consider Ethereum to be potentially putting in some bullish signs on the 5-day RSI. That being said, one can't ignore the fact that it has been in a daily downtrend for quite some time. So I am looking for the RSI to get pulled up to 60, and I actually have I have all my Ethereum right now in basically staking and getting a yield, and also have Ethereum in ETH Bitcoin grid bots, just making more ETH for me. Ultimately, if you're concerned about your ETH, I would be, we're coming into a resistance area. Again, until it breaks above this inner parallel channel, we would be looking for a pull to the upside of the parallel channel. If it finds resistance in here, especially at this 200 moving average coming down, it could pull back down further to the downside. Really depends on how strong this resistance is. On the daily, getting above the 200 would be really nice. Again, we're waiting for the RSI to get above 60. When it does, we're going to be looking for watching the RSI on the lower time frames. Pepe is going sideways. It got a little bit of a pump the other day, the beginning of this 5-day candle. Since then, it's been going sideways. I'm looking for it to get one more pump to the upside. If so, I'll be looking for another short opportunity. If a little bit more to the downside. However, if this low holds, and we actually start getting some green high volume candles up and out of this 50 cloud, I would be looking for a bigger pump before another correction on Pepe. Ultimately, I am accumulating Pepe. This is not financial advice. You can do what you want with your deflationary tokens that you acquire. Tau. I do have a setup on Tau. Essentially, very easy to identify stop loss down here at 354 or 359, depending on your exchange. This low should hold. If this low holds, I'm looking for a larger move to the upside. If the low breaks, I hit my stop loss and I'm out. Not holding Tau through a dip. And we are seeing divergence on the RSI on the low time frames, which is what we would expect to see before trend reversal to the upside on the low time frames. But currently we are in a downtrend, and even if we get a bounce, we may not get over 394. But we shall see what happens, and we will move our stop loss up accordingly. On Tau. Boom. Thank you so much. That's the charts. Not much detail on the charts. Hopefully a little more detail that's helpful. Future content that will be coming is Base the Everything app. So over the next couple years, we're going to explore that while following these markets. If you like AI and want to test some stuff out, if you're wary about paying for AI, my favorite AI platform to use is Chat LLM Teams from Abacus AI. For $10 a month, you can get everything you need. And what I use most about it is the projects feature. So do more, get more in depth, show you how I use it at a future time. If you want to check it out, it's only $10. Links in the description of the video. This is Ernest of Gaia.
Clock in, check the numbers on the wall. Everything rises, everything can fall. Red lines, green lines, none of it matters when you got your hands steady. Doing work again, they talking about corrections, talking about the dip, I'm talking about consistency, talking about the grip. On what you control, that's the muscle, that's the bone. While they panic selling, I'm just in my zone. Up and down, round and round. Keep your feet flat on the ground. When it's moving, when it's still, that's the rhythm, that's the drill. Up and down, round and round. Find your focus, hold it down, down. October wasn't pretty, November looking strange, but my discipline don't pivot just because the seasons change. Liquidation Nation got everybody stressed. Meanwhile, I'm just focused on delivering my best. Support levels breaking, let them break. I got my own foundation I'm trying to make, built on showing up, built on the routine. Not the speculation, just the work between. Up and down, round and round. Keep your feet flat on the ground. When it's moving, when it's still, that's the rhythm, that's the drill. Up and down, round and round. Find your focus, hold it down. Guarantees, guarantees don't exist. Just the moment right here, just the work, just this. Institutional money flowing out the door, but I'm institutional with what I'm here for. Every single day, every single shift, that's my premium, that's my gift. Ethereum slide, Solana taking hits. I'm just clocking hours, stacking up my grit. Volume getting heavy, headlines getting loud. I tune into the task, tune out the crowd. Risk is everywhere, always has been. Certainty's a myth that we all live in. So I ride the wave with my eyes ahead, following my process, that's how I'm fed. That's how I'm fed, that's how I'm fed. Up and down, round and round. Keep your feet flat on the ground. When it's moving, when it's still, that's the rhythm, that's the drill. Up and down, round and round. Find your focus, hold it down. When the cap falls, when the cap climbs, I'm just here steady, putting in my time. That's the real investment, that's the play. Show up tomorrow like I showed today.